In this episode, I'm going to explain to you why cows can turn grass into the most high quality, nutrient dense protein. With a currently heavily marketed narrative of plant based diets, it's important to understand what the ideal foods for humans really are. And not just protein and fat, but the micronutrient density as well. The kind of food that some animals thrive on is not ideal for other animals or humans. We have different digestive systems. Cows and other ruminants like sheep, goats, deer, elk, bison, they have this special digestive system that can turn nutrient poor, high fiber, energy poor grass into nutrient dense, high quality protein with the ideal balance of amino acids that humans need for muscle and bone growth, as well as maintenance, and other processes that we use aminos for all over our body. For example, more popular aminos that we're familiar with, like leucine and lysine, which are essential for muscle protein synthesis, right? And methionine, which is an excellent antioxidant, all of which are much lower in plant proteins and less bioavailable because of the fiber. Meaning that we have to extract them. It takes more work to extract these proteins from the fiber, whereas it's readily available in the meat. Now, not to get too nerdy, but I think this is really incredible. Ruminants have 4 chambers in their stomach, right? Digestion relies heavily on bacteria and fermentation. They can take 60 grams, let's say, as an example, 60 grams of low quality protein, which means low quantities of the essential amino acids. That's what I mean by low quality. And they can extract nitrogen from the fiber that's not yet attached to protein, but it's needed. We need nitrogen to create protein. You need nitrogen binds protein or amino acids together. So they can take, again, the low quality grass, extract more nitrogen from the fiber, and convert that 60 grams of protein into 100 grams of high quality protein with all the essential amino acids that humans require. And so increasing, essentially, both the quality and the quantity of the protein. That's incredible. I mean, when I first heard that, I was floored. I mean, I knew ruminant meat was ideal because of the micronutrient density and all the essential amino acids that are contained in it. It's just kind of if you had to pick one single ideal food, it would be a ruminant meat. But I had no idea they could upregulate on that level from 60 grams of low quality to 100 grams of high quality. It's kind of like going to a salvage yard, like a junk pile of car parts, and coming out with a Bentley, essentially. We can't forget. I know we get caught up in the protein and even the fat, but we can't predict that the most micronutrient food on the planet also comes from ruminants, particularly their liver. Ruminant liver is truly a superfood with more bioavailable vitamins and minerals than any other food. Now, I understand if you don't like the taste of liver, you have bad memories of being forced to eat it as a child, but it's still the number one superfood, which is why I eat a little bit of it every day. I cook some on low in my crock pot for about an hour and a half. I just keep it in the fridge. And every day, it's the first thing I eat, couple ounces of liver, like my multivitamin. I just treat it like, hey, this is the most nutrient dense thing I'm gonna eat of the day. I want it to be the first thing that hits my stomach so I get full absorption of it. And then I'm done. I move on. I start eating other things that I want, nutrients from as well, but also start eating more for the mass, whether it's more protein, more carb if I've just worked out, or, whatever I'm doing. But I prioritize that liver as the single source of more nutrients I can get from any other food I can eat that day. So again, ruminant meat is the ideal food for humans. I'm not saying it's the only food. I'm just saying it is the most ideal from all that it brings in one package. And I'm including the fat in that as well. And many of the nutrients, the micronutrients we're talking about, the minerals and vitamins, are actually stored in the fat. So, we don't vilify the saturated fat. Just so you understand, the fat in a cow or any other ruminant, but cows being the fattest of all ruminants that we're familiar with, rather than wild game, as compared to wild game, their fat isn't all saturated. It's about 50% saturated, but it's 45% monounsaturated, which is the fat that everyone really says is the ideal fat. That's the fat it's 75% of an avocado, or 75% of an avocado or olive oil is this monounsaturated fat. That's why those are considered such healthful foods, is the monounsaturated fat content. Well, 45% of the fat in beef and tallow is monounsaturated fat. 50% is saturated. And I don't have a problem with the saturated fat. I think it's healthy. I think it's great for us. It's stable. It's not easily oxidized. And that's another subject, which I won't travel down. That's a rabbit hole I won't travel down in this episode. But again, only ruminants have this unique ability to sequester so much vital nutrition from nutrient-poor food like grass. Imagine thinking we could live without ruminants. Some people are suggesting it. I think it's crazy. But chickens can't do that. Pigs can't do that. Fish can't do that. And to think that we could replace that incredible biochemistry that takes place in the digestive system in a lab, to me, that's the epitome of arrogance and greed. Humans, let's go back to us here in our digestive system. Humans can't do that. We can't eat grass and leaves and convert it to a high quality protein for our body's needs either. Our digestive system and its structure and the ability to derive nutrients from plants lies somewhere between that of a dog and a pig. Okay, a dog being more carnivorous, but it can survive on an omnivorous diet, obviously. Pigs being, they can pretty much survive on anything, but they're very omnivorous. They can eat meat, plants, garbage, whatever you want to throw in there, right? But that's where our digestive system lies as far as the structure or the balance between the small intestine. We have a longer small intestine, which is the beginning of our digestive system. It's acid-based, and it's ideal for digesting meat and sugar. So you've heard this nonsense, meat rots in your colon. No, meat melts. It melts in the acid in your small intestine, and that's how we break it down and pull all the wonderful nutrients from it and break down the fat as well. And we have a shorter, large intestine, or colon, right, which is a fermentation-based part of our digestive system, which is used as bacteria and basically our biome. When you talk about our biome, it's living in our colon. And it's great for turning plant fiber into short-chain fatty acids. But we, as humans, only get about 2 to maybe 10% of our energy from those short-chain fatty acids that we've converted from fiber using our biome, as compared to maybe, like a dog is a little bit less than that. So probably 2 to 5%. A pig is like 9 to 11 or 12% of the energy from that short chain fatty acid conversion from fiber. A true herbivore has a much larger colon in proportion to their small intestine. Unlike us, we have a much longer, like I said, small intestine compared to our colon. So they derive a lot more energy from converting fiber into short chain fatty acids. Like a horse, for instance, can get about 40% of its calories from converting the fiber into short chain fatty acids. A gorilla, and we are certainly not comparable to a gorilla's digestive system, they get about 55 to 60% of their calories from that. A cow, which we were just talking about, or ruminants in general, about 75% of their energy coming from those short chain fatty acids. So quite a difference between us and any true herbivore. We're just not very good at separating nutrients from fiber in our colon. We do better with fruit than raw vegetables, for sure. And fermented or cooked vegetables are far easier for us to digest because the fiber is already broken down somewhat, in the cooking process or the fermentation process. And many of the defense chemicals that prevent absorption of the vitamins and minerals, like phytates, oxalates, and lectins, are often less impactful after cooking or fermenting. So if you center your meals around animal-based nutrition, especially ruminant meat like beef lamb, or any wild game, or wild game ruminant, excuse me. Obviously not wild birds, but wild game ruminants, like I said, elk, deer, moose, antelope, bison, buffalo, that you can get access to. I mean, those are fantastic sources of meat. And then include some whole food, single ingredient, low inflammatory plant options like fruit or maybe some tubers as they fit into your nutritional needs. Maybe for you're wanting more magnesium or potassium from your diet, which you can get quite a bit from raw dairy as well. But if you want to get some from plants, great. We almost can't get enough magnesium and potassium. So I think those are good priorities to make when you're looking at plant-based options, food options. Or maybe you need some carb for recovery from intense activities, or workout or working outside. That can certainly help with recovery and with just balancing out your activity level with your your energy needs. Now, if you eat raw vegetables, just pay attention to how they make you feel. Are you bloated afterward? Is there any inflammation in any other areas like your skin or your joints? Does it increase any autoimmune systems? Because, those defense chemicals can have more of a downside effect or negative effects in some people than they do in others. Now, if you have no negative symptoms and you enjoy them, great. But don't eat them because you think you need them for your health. And I would say pay attention ongoing to how they make you feel, especially, and maybe you're in your 20s and 30s and you can pretty much digest anything at that point, right? But pay attention. I'm not saying that across the board for everyone. There's plenty of people in their 20s and 30s that have issues with digesting very fibrous foods. But pay attention as you get older. I can tell you, I've had to make changes in my diet by paying attention to how it made me feel. As I've gotten older, got into my 40s and then into my 50s, and there's some foods I just don't eat anymore because I don't feel well after I eat them. There's not enough upside for the downside. And so just leave your mind open and allow yourself to feel what your body's telling you. Once you get things back on track, if you're dealing with some metabolic issues, some insulin resistance, make that a priority. Get that in line. And then as you get into a maintenance mode, start paying attention to what your body tells you with the foods that you're eating. And then personally, I like converting the vegetation like grasses and leaves into nutrient-dense foods to the experts, the ruminants, right? And then I just eat their delicious meat and their organs as well, of course. But knowing that I'm eating the most nutrient-dense, bioavailable food that is ideal for me as a human, just like my ancestors did.